Hello, everyone. So today we're talking about Tamar. Again, one of only 5 women mentioned in the lineage of Jesus Christ. Her story is found in Genesis chapter 38 in the Bible. It's a little graphic, but I'm sorry, it's in the Bible. So Tamar was married to who was son to Judah, Judah being the son of Jacob, Jacob son of Isaac, Isaac son of Abraham. So they were married, but unfortunately they did not have children before he died. And so, as was the custom in those days, his younger brother married her, and whatever offspring they have was supposed to be heir to the brother who died. However, when Onan had sexual intercourse with Tamar, he decided, I don't want my offspring to be someone else's heir. So instead of spilling into his wife, he spilled outside. God was displeased with that and killed him. And so Judah got afraid and said, this woman has killed my 2 sons. I'm not going to let my 3rd son marry her. So he told her, go back to your father's house and wait. When Shelah, my 3rd son, gets older, I'll call you to marry him. But he didn't mean that. He was lying. And the implication of Tamar not having a husband, not having children, meant that when she grew older, she was not going to have anyone to take care of her. And because she was a woman, she could not own land. So she was destined for a life of poverty and misery. But she waited. She waited. And then one day she saw that Shelah was grown and she had not been invited to marry him. But she still waited. And then Judah's wife died. And then she thought to herself, this is my opportunity. And so one day she heard that Jacob was going to pass by a certain way. And so she disguised herself as a harlot, covered her face, and stood in the roadway. So Judah came along and asked her to sleep with him. And she said, what are you going to give me for that? Of course, Judah did not recognize that was his daughter-in-law. She said, what are you going to give me for that? He said, so she said, I'll give you a goat. And then she said, how am I going to know that you're going to bring the goat? And I don't know if it was her that asked for it or he gave it, or he was the one that suggested, but he left his staff, that's his walking stick, and his seal and cord, which were like his ID. And so she held on to those. They had intercourse and she went home. So the next day, Jacob sent his servant to take the goat to her so that he could collect his belongings, but she was nowhere to be found. The people said, there's no Harlot here. So then he went back home. So eventually, Tamar actually got pregnant from that encounter, and she had twins, and one of them continued the lineage of Jesus Christ. So actually, precisely because of what Tamar did, Judah remained in the lineage of Jesus Christ. That's impact. So after a few months, she started to show the pregnancy, and people went to tell Jacob, oh, your daughter-in-law is playing the harlot. She's pregnant. She's not married, and all of that. And of course, Judah was like, kill her, burn her right now. Even though Judah was part and parcel of it, even though he was part of the sin, he was ready to castigate her. And in this day and age, I would think that Judah would be considered an elder or a leader in the church. But that's what he did. He was ready to just castigate her like that. And then she told them, she gave them the signet, that's Tamar. She gave the seal and the cord and the walking stick. She said, whoever's possessions these are, that's the one who I'm pregnant for. And of course, they took all these things to Jacob, and Jacob was like, oh my goodness, you are more righteous than I am. I denied you. I did not give you my son as I promised, but you are so righteous that you still wanted to remain in the family, and you did this. Tamar's life, very impactful. So the lessons that I learned from Tamar, she was very, very patient. Patiently waiting for Shelah to grow older, patiently waiting for Judah's wife to die. And then she was a woman of courage. It, of course, took a lot of courage to be able to pull that off, because if she was found out, then she would have been in big trouble. But she did it anyway. She was a woman of wisdom. Sometimes we're called to wait, sometimes we're called to act. She knew exactly when to wait and when to act when it was necessary. She was bold. She was confident. She was unconventional. She was willing to go against the odds. She did what was different, but it turned out to be well for her. But I think the most important lesson from Tamar is that sometimes we hide from our ugly stories. And this story is not talked about at all. A lot of people don't know about Tamar. We know about Deborah the judge. We know about Esther the queen who saved Israel. But we don't talk about Tamar because we think our story is dirty. We shrink when we think about it. But we need to know that sometimes the ugly and dirty stories in our lives, and even in the Bible, are where we grow. So what we need to do with our stories is to learn from them and move on to victory, knowing fully well that God has a plan and purpose for our lives, regardless of the detour that we take. And He can turn those things around for our good. So don't let us be discouraged. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's learn from our dark parts and keep forging ahead. So thank you so much for watching today. If you didn't watch Rahab that we put out last week, make sure you watch that and look out for a couple more that we're going to do before the month runs out. Again, thanks for watching and God bless. Bye-bye.